Imagine a world without choices. Imagine you can't make your own decision. That wouldn't be a world for me. That wouldn't be a world for you. UIC. Tell them we're gonna be stronger. Together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Gonna be stronger together. Time we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. It is a natural right for every human being to be free. Free, so free. So the government is there to protect you and me. UIC objective is to liberate the citizens from colonial bondage, them regulation, them taxation. Rob Jamaica, we independent. Be stronger together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. We're gonna be stronger together. Come, we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. All right, welcome and good night to our interesting TV show tonight. We have an interesting lineup of guests here. I just want to welcome everyone for coming on to the live. JMH, big up yourself. You're always here on time. So tonight we're going to have a very interesting, Patricia Brooks, welcome. We're going to have a very interesting discussion. As you may have seen from the flyer or from the thumbnail, we'll be talking with some members of our youth arm, the UIC's youth arm, which is called Youth Republic. And they will be sharing their views on the matter or the topic of school security. How safe are our schools, right? So we know that we have, there's been recently, well, not recently, for a good while now, there's been a school security plan that has been implemented. And we really want to ask the youth, if they think this security plan is working and get their views on it. So I want to introduce our guests tonight. So first we have Rashid Downer. Rashid, what's up? How are you?
Hi, Mr. Harpo. Sorry, my phone is falling. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Good night.
Rashid Downer, he's the chairman of the Youth Republic, which is UIC's youth arm. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Rashid, if you don't mind.
All right, so I am Rashid Downer. I am 14 years old, actually. Fun fact. I enjoy leadership. I enjoy youth work. It is actually a passion for me now. It is starting to become my second line of life right now. My mantra is school over work. Also building resilience through overcoming our adversities. So that's me.
Okay.
And of course, I just want to the greatest high school in Jamaica, the Calabar High School for boys.
All right, so we're not going to start in the high school wars, but he's representing Calabar. So thank you for coming on, Rashid. Some of you may have seen Rashid before. He was on one of our lives before, and he's been a huge supporter of the UIC. And at such a young age, this is a good look for us. We have another guest that we'll be bringing on as well. His name is Tyrone Smith. Tyrone, how are you doing? Oh, I'm not hearing you. Are you muted?
Just realized I'm muted, Mr. Harper. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Tell us a little about this. Well, let me introduce you first. So Tyrone Smith is the lead director and advisor for the UIC. I got your title correct, right?
That is right.
Yeah.
That
So
is
tell us
right.
a little bit
Thank
about
you.
yourself.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, viewers. Good afternoon, fellow panelist, Mr. Dono. So my name is Tyron Smith. I am a enthusiastic leader who believes that we can bring others and help shape young people into the best version of themselves. I'm also here presenting the Calabar High School, as our principal likes to say, the best school in the Western Hemisphere, but we won't dwell on that tonight. And so I hand back over to you, Mr. Harper.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So it looks like I'm outnumbered because I'm a Wilmerian. So Wilma was past student, so I'm here outnumbered, unfortunately. But it's good to have you guys on, and looking forward to the discussion that we'll be having tonight. So just to get into some of the comments that people have been saying, Patricia Burgess, good evening. Kirk, good night, good night. Wade Noble, bless up yourself. Max Velocity, good night. Unity family, good night. Purpose Driven Vibes, blessings, Mr. Harper, bless up yourself. Cardell, Scotty, and Patricia Book. So thank you all for coming on. Please remember to like and share. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel so you'll be notified as when we're going on live. Craig McKenzie, what's going on here? Well, Craig, we're having a discussion on whether the schools in Jamaica are really safe. How safe are they? And so we're going to be asking, two of the members of our youth arm called Youth Republic to share their views on it. And so we're just going to get into, first and foremost, the most recent thing that has happened. Unfortunately, a young girl died from being stabbed at Kingston Technical High School. And the videos are all over the internet. I was trying to play the video before we got started, but unfortunately I wasn't getting any sound, so I'm not able to play the video. But you can search for it, Google it, and you'll find it, and you'll see the horrific pictures and scenes. So in light of all that's been happening, I mean, we've seen an uptick in violence in our schools in the last couple of years. And it's unfortunate that, our children see violence as a way of engaging with each other instead of, talking things out or, going to, a teacher or a guidance counselor or even principal to get things dealt with, or even going to, their own friends. They've resorted to violence. So give us your take, both of you, Rashid and Tyrone. Give us your take on the recent happenings in Kingston Technical. I'm going to start with
Alright,
Rashid.
so I will take it first. Personally, I'd have to say that I'm not bashing the government here. I'm just saying that there are lots of initiatives that are outlined into the Safety and Schools Policy Act that states that certain precautions as it pertains to security should be taken, right? And as seen, many of these stuff aren't being done. So yeah, man, in some senses, schools are a safe space for young people, but then there are certain instances where the safety is being violated, right? So again, I'm not bashing the government, but it is just a saying, right?
Yeah. All right. Tyrone, give us your take.
I believe that the system is, I believe that the safety system in schools at this point is really stable. First and foremost, let me say that. And I say that on the grounds that no no administration can secure a school without a partnership between the home and the school. Because it's not as if as the environment of the school is portraying a violent image towards the students. It's something that is either community based, what they see on the internet, or what is on the road. So with the partners, I believe that the problem is more likely with the the partnership, the involvement of parents with their schools and where they view their standpoints on the matter of communication.
Good point. Good point. Craig McKenzie is saying there is no culture of dealing with serious issues in a civil manner. Even in the parliament, you can see there isn't an example to follow, and years of awful governance just perpetuate such behaviors. And that's true, Craig. And a lot of people are saying, well, not a lot, some people are saying that the children are basically living out what they're seeing, right? So they're seeing in the society, we just how we handle things. There's no how you deal with situations. It's always a hit or a box or a thump or what I mean. And even with police dealing with citizens, politicians dealing with situations, we're seeing a lot of violence, right, being carried out. And so the children are basically just living that out because that's what they see. You share that view, Tyrone?
And to be honest, Mr. Harper, I really do share that view because if I think there's a saying that says children live what they learn and they live what they see. So, and it's true, it's true because it's really a replica of what is happening in the country, honestly. And I do agree with what Mr. Mackenzie said. There is no serious issue that is dealt with in a civil manner. Because as we can see with our forces or constabulary force, there have been cases of overstepping and abusing of authority. So it's really a replica of what is happening in the country.
Yeah, agreed. Rashid, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. Yeah, just to add to that, each week I come on the live. Well, sorry, every time I come on the live, I repeat this one saying: children live what they learn. There's a saying that is used that if a child is grown up in anger, that child will learn to fight. If a child is growing up in fear, that child will become fearful. So each thing that a child grow up into is a certain type of behavior that will be perpetuated from that child. So not bashing parents, but I think it's time where us as young people, the parents at large, the government, and the Prime Minister take heed to what he keeps saying by building back Jamaica stronger, and we need to make a change. So yeah, man, there is, we have this thing where at home our children are angels. At school, some of our children at home they're angels, and some of them at schools they're like, you never expect them to be this way. But I think it's time for parents to be more realistic in taking a deeper look at their child and seeing where they are here and where they are there. So at home, you look on them and say, all right, then, let me see what going on with them at school. Some of the parents I've seen nowadays, them say, all right, them, because them are going good at home, them are going good at school, when that is incorrect. So I think it's time that we be more wise. So wise up and rise up.
Yeah, yeah. And another issue is we are having children raising children. So we have an issue where we have young parents that are raising children. So they've either dropped out of school and they now have to taking care of children because they've gotten pregnant or whatever, and they haven't fully grown up in terms of their own maturity, in terms of their own thought processes and how they think things out and think things through. And so, but they're now put in a position of guiding or helping a younger human being, a child, right, on certain graces and etiquettes, and so we're seeing a reflection, a real true reflection of what's happening in the society at large, from our young children or from our young people. And then, of course, a recent live we did, I think it was last week, we spoke on alcohol, and there was this story, or well, not a story, but recently a young lady died from drinking too much alcohol on her 21st birthday. She was celebrating her 21st birthday, and she, just decided to drink. And she woke up, well, she was dead the next morning. And we're seeing where even in our education, we're not teaching children or teaching our young people how to really relate to each other. One of the things UIC's policies in our education policy is teaching young people, our students.
If I may say something on that matter, Mr. Harper, about communicating, I think it's really the job of the home to establish that communication skill, right? Because a lot of times when we have rebellious students in school, it's mainly because they don't get the attention at home or the effective communication, and so that hampers they were dealing with conflicts in schools.
Yeah. And so Craig is asking, where does discipline start? Is it in the home or by our government or in our community?
Going to answer that question.
Yeah, exactly. So go ahead, Rashid.
I was going to answer the question. All right, so firstly, a child doesn't grow, they grow up at home. So number one, discipline should be the main priority for a young child to learn in their home. Respect. So the part of discipline, but respect is a main part for learning in their home. There's certain stuff that teachers have to be teaching students when they come to school, because some parents lack teaching those students that, right? Again, that must be the parents here just talking. Some parents lack teaching their child the common courtesy of respect, the common courtesy of discipline, how to speak to somebody, that they shouldn't invade in somebody's own private space, they shouldn't touch person in certain places. So I think communicating is a main priority. Sometimes we have some parents that say that my child is too young to have this discussion with them. Why are you going to wait until that child gets old, say like in his teens, to speak to them on certain issues? Come on, man. If you're going to have a child that is going, well, any child per se, either male or female, and they're going to be going to school, how about talking about, all right, then here's the thing. Yes, and then you and them can be playing, but you cannot do certain stuff. So you can't touch them this way, or if you're talking to a teacher, you can't go up in them face, you can't push them, right? And some the students do the same thing to them. So then talk to them face, them shout off at them and all sorts of things. So I think right now the main thing for us Jamaicans is to start teaching our children common courtesies from the right? Teach them that this is the way that teach them that you cannot do this. If it is a no, it is a no. You can't back chat the teacher and say, yes, miss, that me want to know. Come on. So personally, I think all those three factors have a role to play. But mainly, I think within the home. Within the home, the school, then the community. Because right now, the home and the school is a part of a community, right? They're all a part of this big community. So I personally do think that it should start from the home. But as stated, you have some pupils and some students or some children, I should say, who are abusing their parents. Why? Because their parents give them the upper hand, which is wrong. But as we're changing Jamaica and we're trying to create an evolved nation, I think it's time we teach our children from their young, before they even start school, that respect and certain common courtesies are a must.
Definitely. As you said, it really does start at the home. Unfortunately, there are a lot of homes that, as I said earlier, the parents of the home really weren't even taught that, so we have We have a system where the people who are parents are not even properly, I wouldn't even say properly, but they're not at a place where they can even parent, but they're put in that position now, you know, because of whatever circumstances. And so they aren't teaching their children, as Rashid said, the common courtesies, you know. And so now the schools have to take that up because they're not being taught that at home. The students aren't being taught that at home. And so this now have to be doing this kind of rehabilitative kind of teaching where, you know, you have to teaching people now, teaching students now, you know, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, you know, respect each other, you know, all these things that really should be taught at home. So it really is a holistic approach that you have to come at it from. You can't just be, you know, one-sided approach. It has to be a holistic approach.
And Uncle, just to clarify something, right? I'm not saying that a child should grow in abuse, where if that child does something wrong, the parent should beat them or lick them down or thump them in their face. All I'm saying is parents should learn. I see Tyra laughing because, right, we have some parents who literally do that to their children. And just to say, if a child lives into an environment where it is toxic and full of masculinity and full of all sorts of abusing factors, that child will grow up to do the same thing to their child, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think,
well.
all right, let me, I'm trying to free this inside of a saying so I don't get backlash for it. Right? I'm not saying that parents are not allowed to beat their children, right? All I'm saying is that don't allow beating to be your first resort. Sometimes, a child does something and the first resort is beating them before you sit down, talk with them. That is why we have so much of our children shutting down. They can't their parents because the parents are creating an environment where they're afraid to come to them, which is why we have young people but again, that is my take.
Yeah, man. And you have anything to add, Tyrone, before we move on? I think you're muted.
All right, hear me now?
Yeah.
Right. I do believe, as Rashid said, along the lines of environment, because it depends on what your environment is like, is how you behave in a wider society. So if your environment is full of masculinity and toxic, then of course you're going to have a behavior replicating a toxic environment, and that is not healthy in any way of communication. So that's really what I want to add.
Okay. All right. So we're going to look at now the education ministry. Because of the recent spike in schools, violence in schools, the education minister has recently come out and said that they're going to be tackling this issue. I'm going to play a video for you of her speaking on the issue, and then we come back and talk about it. All right, so here we go.
Education Ministry is targeting fourth form students as part of plans to tackle violence in schools. Education Minister Favour Williams made the announcement in Parliament today during the sectoral debate. Andrea Chisholm has the details.
The stabbing death of Kamal Hall at William Knibb High due to a conflict over a guard ring is one violent incident that sent shockwaves throughout the country. To help combat the problem, the Education Ministry is rolling out a psychosocial program for grade 10 or 4th form students since data show the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted that cohort the most. The 15-year-olds are also at a critical stage of development and are in need of support. And so the psychosocial program will be held for 2 weeks in April under the theme Embracing a Winning Well-Being.
Schools have the flexibility to replicate and adapt this concept as the need arises. Limited academic classes will be held in those 2 weeks. We want to focus on providing psychosocial support to our fourth form students or grade 10 students, primarily to help them through this period.
Defective metal detectors will be replaced, and 55 school resource officers who are police personnel sent to schools in Western Jamaica. School administrators are also reminded to search students for harmful weapons in keeping with the safety and security policy. They should look out for the following:
Loud talking beyond what is normal, rough play, gathering of students on the outside of classes, especially during breaks and lunchtime, and we ask that they disperse these gatherings.
Meanwhile, the Education Ministry has spent over $1.8 billion to help bring students up to scratch with the curriculum. The Yard to Yard Find the Child initiative, which seeks to locate children who have been absent from school, is reaping results.
We have been able to re-engage approximately 87,446 of the 120,000 students we had indicated were not accounted for during the pandemic. Madam Speaker, we commit to finding all our students. Our deans of discipline and our guidance officers will specifically redouble their efforts.
And grooming in schools continues to be a hot-button topic, with the students being sent home if they do not follow the rules. For example, if pants are too tight or skirts not at the specified length.
Principals are being reminded, and we have been doing this from time to time, that the schools department policy should be guided by the ministry's grooming policy guidelines. And where possible, special consideration should be afforded to students and their families as they attempt to rebound from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and as they try to comply with the department policy of the institution.
The ministry is awaiting feedback on a draft policy for dress and grooming. Minister Williams is hoping it will be available at the start of the next school year. Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
All right, so yeah, we just saw where the education minister was saying that certain things will be put in place, counseling basically for fourth form students. But one of the things that stood to me is that they said they're going to be increasing, the security in terms of changing out defective metal detectors and ramping up searching of students. And it seems like that didn't help in this situation or this recent situation at Kingston Technical, where, I mean, clearly, the girl had some kind of instrument that either got past the metal detectors or past the security. But, I'd love to hear you guys' view on what the minister just said. Tyrone, start with you.
Sure. I do agree with what the minister is proposing. However, I just have one thing, or maybe two things, right? If the children are replicating a societal or community behavior, where it's concerned criminal organization, the trafficking, and all that, etc., right? It then means that they have their connections on the school. So there are efficient routes in which they would traffic, weapons and so forth without being caught. So I think it is then the responsibility of the ministry now or the school administration to really have thorough evaluation of said protocols and what they have implemented. And there's a comment I realized in the chat, if I may, by Amos B. He says, "I keep wondering where this woman come from," and I was really concerned with that, because I do believe the national pledge says that I will play my part in advancing the welfare of this human race. And so, as citizens, I believe that we all have a part to play. And if the ministry has proposed a set of guidelines, protocols in place, then what we should do as citizens is really enforce and assist in getting those protocols across the board.
Yeah.
So those are my views on that.
Well said, well said. And one of the things that is critical is we, the public, play our part. As you said, you know, we all have a part to play. We should play our part in helping to advance, you know, the welfare of the human race, the welfare of Jamaica, right? And so part of that may be helping to speaking out in terms of helping to guide where the education ministry should, the road the education ministry should be going down, and providing some kind of feedback as well as to whether these policies being implemented are working or are not working, or will work or it will not work. You know, a lot of the students, a lot of the teachers in the schools and the administrators will know firsthand, you know, what's happening in the schools, and they'll be able to give some kind of report as to whether, you know, these implementations or these policies being implemented will work or not. And so it takes all of us, you know, it's not just, oh, the Ministry of Education needs to do this, or, oh, the parents need to do that. It's everyone, we all have a part to play. Rashid, do you have anything to add?
I have to agree on that personally. Before I continue, I was right here, so looking at the comments inside of the chat. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Joseph Edwards says that the army must be called in Jamaican schools. I'm going to try to put it into the most simplest and respectful perspective. Why are we going to make the problem worse though? If we do make that step, right, and call the army into our schools and allow the JDF and the JCF and other military organizations to come in and deal with these children, we're going to be making the problem worse though, right? Looking at it, many students, and Tyrone and myself Tyrone possibly, sorry, can on this because he's a peer counselor like myself. Sometimes all a child needs is somebody to talk to, right? And again, as it reels back to the community and the home, you know, children live what they learn. So if their uncle they know one gang, they go one they know one gang, right? I'm not, and then looking at it as well, I'm not bashing the music that we listen to as young people, right? All I'm saying is that music is also a point of notice that we should take heed to. As some music does involves chopping the line and other stuff, I'll have to say, right? And you know, students and children, if I may say, look up to some of these artists like the Skeng and the Marksman and all of these stuff, right? So I think as a person in society, let us change from the way that we do things as young people and look at the rightful way to make a positive change, right? I'm not saying that you cannot listen to your Marksman and your the rest of your music, right? Yeah, because we're young people, so you know we're gonna want to do that. But I'm saying do not follow what is going on, right? And just to bring up a next incident that's happened, a child got boxed down, and the child was knocked out because it happened a couple months ago when school was reopening face to face for a couple of days. The child got boxed on and knocked out because he stepped on a boy's clerks. The violence has gotten to the sense that even if it's something that somebody might not like, they want to lick you down, right? So I think the sense that we are going to need to teach our children the right way of conflict resolution. So I do slightly agree with what is about. There are more things that she could have implemented to ensure that would be 100% effective.
Yeah. And on the topic of music, you raised that topic. Yes, I'm hearing you. So on the topic of music, that's a touchy topic because a lot of people are want to blame the music. The issue I have is everybody's looking for a scapegoat. Everybody's looking for something to point and say it's because of this, when really it's been 78 years of just bad governance all over. It has caused the society to degrade, and our poor education system is producing people that are not up to scratch. They are now parenting these children, and these children are growing up in areas and homes where they're not being taught these things, the proper things, and so it's like a cycle. And so it may have started in one area, but now it's gotten almost to the point where it's ballooning out of control. And so it's not just one thing, and that's why I'm saying, for me personally, I feel like it has to be, we have to look at it from a holistic point of view and a holistic approach, where yes, we have to do some remedial works in terms of parenting and helping to teach the parents how to parent. Also helping the students, teaching the students how to relate to each other. So there are 3 points under the UIC's education plan. And well, the education plan, the Learning Enrichment Advancement program, LEAP, is built on three pillars. Understanding self, right? So we're going to teach students understand themselves, mind, body, and soul, right? Understanding relationships, how to relate to each other. So that means business relationships, friend relationships, parental relationships, community relationships, etc. So we're teaching them how to relate to other people and building strong relationships out of that. And then the third core thing is understanding money, right? Because everything we do involves money. And so we need to understand how that works. So moving on to solutions now, right? So I just mentioned a couple of solutions that the UIC has. And I'd love to hear, you guys' point of view. Right? What solutions can we come up with? What can we do to fix the situation that we have here in Jamaica? Rashid, do you want to start out?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
All right, I had to turn the screen a different way to get the phone to connect back to the internet. Solutions. That's kind of rough currently, but I think one of the main solutions that I would have said would have been to implement more peer counselors within the schools. As I said, sometimes all children really do need is someone their age to talk to, or someone a little bit older than to talk to. Sometimes they don't want to talk to an adult who will tell them that they can't do that. Sometimes they just want to talk to somebody where they can lay their heart out to and say, all right, then bro, this is what happened, all right, then this is what happened to me. I don't know how to come out of it. And these persons will be trained to the aspect of helping them, not telling them to go and commit the act, but helping them. And also, I think stronger security, not police security, but stronger security guards in schools. So, like, let me explain what I mean by that. Let me explain on that. Stronger security presence, like at the front gate of the schools, right? Let's just have around 2 to 3 security guards there to use the metal detectors and search the bags and check if there's any lethal weapons in there, like a knife or something that can be used to harm someone else, or Not only saying nice and them stuff there, but there are other stuff that they can look for, right? That's number two. Number three, personally, I would say that let's just get the parents and community members a part of the change. Let us speak to them on telling them, all right, then here are some ways that you as parents can look out for the signs in your child, right? We're not going to be telling them how to grow their children, but we're going to be telling them, all right, then these are some of the things that you can look out for, right? I think it's time where the schools implement a couple days in the school year where parents come in and without their child's knowledge, of course, to see how the child acts in school. A lot of young people will disagree with me there on that, but it's just that. And lastly, I think youth should be given a better platform to allow, what should I say no? To allow our voices to be heard. As sometime a child can go home to their parents and mommy, this happened to me today, and some feel bad about it, and the parent shuts them down, right? The parent shuts them down. So yeah, that's my main suggestions. There are a lot more there, but those are the main. As it pertains to this, the more security pertains to checking on the bag thing, a lot of persons might disagree with it, but that's just that.
All right. So Tyrone, your views?
Definitely. Firstly, I realized that Mr. Williams said that the police force was originally set up to stop slave uprising, so they have a bad legacy. I believe that that is a wonderful solution, because if it is that they were originally set up to stop slave uprising, this is an uprising of violence. So they are the perfect solution for us. There is, on the matter of policing, right? There are many ways that the force does their job. It's a service, of course. So in a service, there is the mentorship programs, there is the community intervention, the social intervention. And so as a solution, I think what we need is a stronger presence, or let me not say stronger presence, but a irregularity or a regular checkup by the force in our schools. Like, for example, Rashid, you mentioned about the security checks. What we need is a stronger, a more dominant authority, which are the police, right? Because if a student is going to be disrespectful, or let me not say disrespectful, immannered to a security guard, which is considered a regular citizen, a regular person, right, on the school grounds, then we need a stronger authority that if you should be disrespectful to that person, then there are criminal charges that you must face. That's one for me, right? Number two is that we need to educate those said parents that have the unprecedented accident, well, let me not say accident, but situations of parenting, various circumstances that happened that led to that. We need to morally educate them about what the whole job of parenting is. That is a strong solution where my party is concerned. Thirdly, I had mentioned earlier that to solve this issue is really has to be a partnership between community, home, and the schools, right? The school administration alone cannot do it. They cannot, because they only have the child for a said 5 hours at minimum per day, right? So that 5 hours compared to the rest of the day that the child has at home in community or even on the road is not so much of a change that can be done. So there has to be a partnership between the community, parents, and the school that will bring forth immense change. And I think that's it for me on my part. Those are my foremost strong solutions that will bring effective change.
Okay. All right. So what I'm getting from both of you guys is that there needs to be one more or an evident authority in schools, right? So students need to know that there is an authority, that you can go so far, but no, not any further. And if they cross those lines, there will be some kind of repercussions for that. Also, that the students, as Rashid says, live what they learn, and so part of the grooming of students is, the community side, the parental side. What are they getting from these two other elements, and how is that balancing or imbalancing what they're learning in school? And is it enhancing what they're learning in school, or is it detracting from what they're learning in school? Is it in harmony with what they're learning in school, or is it not in harmony with what they're learning in school? And so it takes, as Tyrone said, it takes, a concerted effort on all parties to get this to change. The issue with all of this is that we have a society that is, for want of a better word, well, not for want of a better word, we have a society that is degrading, or that is being degrading. Year after year, the question is, where do we start? Do we start in the homes? And if we do start in the homes, how do we start in the homes? Because right now in the homes are broken. So how do we start with the home? Do we start in the schools? And if we start in the schools, are schools prepared for that? Are teachers prepared for that? Where do we start with the change in society to help as a safety net for our children, to kind of bring them up in a way that is going to be beneficial and help Jamaica going forward? That's a huge question, because we're in a society right now that is, it's breeding more bad, so it's like fungus. It's like one little part gets a fungus, and fungus is just spreading now. And how do we cauterize that? How do we stop that? How do we get the fungus from stopping to grow? And now, when you stop the growth, and when you eradicate the fungus, what are you putting in place? Because that's another thing that's a lot of people don't really focus on. So we tell students, don't do this, or we tell children, don't do this, don't do that. But we don't tell them, do this instead. So all they know is what not to do, but they don't know what to do. You get me? So if you're going to tell someone, don't do this, say, don't do this instead. And so we need to come up with ways, or come up with ideas that are in alignment with what we want for Jamaica, and push that kind of thought pattern and mindset, push that, while saying, listen, this kind of lifestyle or this kind of behavior is not what we need to be focusing on. We need to be focusing on this, right? So it's important for us to, when we're taking away, to replace it with something else. Or else, otherwise, we're just going to have the void, and what's going to happen is just going to creep back in, right? So, loving the conversation we're having. You guys have anything else that you want to add?
Yeah, I would like to comment very much, Mr. Harper, on what you just said. Where do we start? Because that is really an interesting question, because, we cannot propose solutions and then there's no set point to start. You mentioned, do we start in the home? Do we start in the school? I say we start all together. We start in the home at the same time, we start in the school at the same time, and we start in the community. Because it takes a partnership. I don't know if any of us is familiar with this term, that it takes a village to raise a child. And that is so much so because, as you can see now, the school is a trying factor to change this history, or this uprising of violence in school. We need a partnership with the parents, with the home. So while the school has that 5 hours with the student, helping him to correct his diversions off the path of life, and the way to be, there is the community that's reinforcing that. There is a home that provides an environment where the child can express his views, and very much get factual information, right? Also, I believe, I just lost the point. I decided on my mind. I just lost the point. But yes, I believe as a society, as a country, we need to move forward on the idea of coming together as one, coming together as one, and to stand up. Because there was a release from the Minister of Education, that I quote, a parent cannot simply say that nothing is wrong with the way I'm sending my child to school. I don't know if you've seen that debate in Parliament. And there, I quote, there is simply no way a parent can say nothing is wrong with the way I'm sending my child to school, when the school rules strictly say that no altered uniform and a set height for the hair. And so, if parents are going to say that, defend their child in the wrong, then where do we come off in making a change? So the way that stands out most to me is to get to the parents, teach them, show them our objectives, and a vision. Let's create a vision specifically to where we want to see our schools. I would very much recommend that. Right?
Yes.
So we show them this is our vision at the same time of 10 to 12 years. This is where we want to move with our society. And so we like your partnership. We want you on board to bring forth this change. And I do believe that if we approach this situation on that foot, then of course, there is no doubt that there will be a great change. And this change we look forward to.
Yeah. Rashid? No, you're muted.
Uncle, can you unmute me? Or am I
Yeah,
unmuted?
I'm hearing you now. I'm hearing you now.
Alright, then good. So again, I am going to agree with Tyrone, which is why you see he's called the head advisor and the head director. Tyrone, personally, I would say he's correct 100%. It does take a village to raise a child, right? And in remembering something that a wise principal once said, and I think Tyrone can relate to his principle, it is, if it is a sense that you are a single mother and you need a stepfather, I will step in. And I have to look at that, what that principal said, as he's giving himself as a stepfather to that child to try and help that child. And, as chairman of the Youth Republic, I see many children who are giving up on life because what they want to do isn't in schools. So I think it is time where we make a whole entire new revamp in, what do we teach our children in school? Yes, we have a standard educational plan, but I think it is time we add to that plan. Many of our children wants to become artists like Skinner and all of those persons. So I think it is time we have classes where children can learn, how to DJ, how to write music and all of those stuff. I think it's time for where children want to go into different industries, that are right, they can go ahead. But in saying, I think it's time that we stop allow our children to go down the wrong drain. And I think it's time where we look into ourselves as people and as citizens of Jamaica and say, yes, it is time for a change to be made. change comes with a village of people who want change. Change doesn't just come by one person getting up and say, yeah man, me want change. It comes with a village. You have to have supporters of persons who are saying, yeah man, this is what. And I have learned something. There are three ways that someone changes, and there's three ways that things change, where people have seen enough that they want it to change, where people have hurt enough where they want it to change, and where people have heard enough where they want it to change. Those are the three ways that I've seen things change. So sometimes you have somebody who's hurt, persons who are hurt to the extent that they want this to change because they're saying, Jaja, how can I be into a society? How can I live into this space where children are dying rapidly, people are dying rapidly? I need a change to happen now. So I'm going to make a change, right? The hurting of part to want something to change. It is a perspective where somebody keeps hearing about something and they're feeling that type of way about it and they say, yeah man, this has to change today and I'm going to do something about it. And the scene, where this person have seen the stuff happen in front of them and they say, no, I can't continue seeing stuff like this happening in front of me and that change isn't happening, so I'm going to make a change. So those are the three main ways that changes can happen or do happen. So I think it's time as Jamaican that we don't wait until we have seen enough or heard enough or hurt enough to want our country to change. I think we need to make a change now. Because we're going down the road where things that are unprecedented, things that we don't want our children to go down, things that we don't want to happen to our children are going to start happening. As we are growing up into a culture that is full of toxic masculinity, we're growing up into a culture where if I say something about somebody, even if they may talk to them, take it as a violation. We're going up into a society non-critical comments that a teacher might make. That teacher might make as a joke comment saying, all right then, you should have brushed your hair a little bit this morning. A child takes that offensive. And I think for many persons who are saying that why can't them children gospel with them hair high up, or why can't them wear tight pants, or why can't them wear suede and them something there, as they do have a effect on a child. So a school is like a mini world where a child has to grow up with rules, as the world has rules out there, right? The workplace has rules. You can't go work in a tight pants and tight shirt and tattoo all over, or you can't go. Some workplaces they don't even allow you to wear certain shoes. So a school is like a mini workplace or a mini world entirely that teaches a child how the world is out there. I don't think we should be standing with their children and saying, the teacher, they don't know what they want to talk about. We're anything you want to wear. And sometimes we do have these parents where they literally send them children into the things that they shouldn't wear. And then we have those parents who listen to their children and them know say and say go, but them say, all right, then I might tell this. And them I go do that, right? So I think it is time we make a change. I don't think we should wait to be hurt enough to want that change. I don't think we should be hurt enough. Sorry, I don't think we should see enough to want it. And I don't think that we should hear enough to want our society to change. And literally, it is quite emotional because it just goes to show that it could have been me. And I want real quick, I just want to touch on something, and Tyrone can agree with me on this. We're growing up into a society where once one thing happens, people have to start videoing. Look at what happened at Kingston Technical. Persons are videoing, and there was only two persons, I think, yeah, two persons in the video who were trying to help the person that was stabbed. There was a soldier there, one, and then you had this girl that was holding her hand right where the child got stabbed. right? I think we need to make a change in our society where we cannot continue with this toxic masculinity. Before persons jump around, try to help family for a find her, go, and can rush her to the hospital, we're videoing and we're making jokes and we're creating a mockery. Jamaican people, I don't know. I keep saying to people that right now, I'd rather go live in one different country because I don't want something to happen to me and people just start videoing it. But then I have to look at the fact that change starts within us as young people. We have to be the change for tomorrow. We can't allow, these stuff to continue happening. So if the government choose to lock up those persons that were videoing, I would have said yes, they deserve it. Because before you go and help the person, you are, you're standing there videoing and laughing and creating a mockery of what's going on. So yeah, that's all for me because I don't want to continue because I don't want to start crying all the time. Alright? So that's all.
I'd like to say something
Sure, go
that
ahead.
one of the reasons, as I've learned from my dean of discipline, that they advocate for uniformity, which means that there's a set standard for the uniform, there's a set standard for the hair, is that they seek to end the um the balance of there's a different class from and there's a class up here and there's a class here. They seek to bring everything on one level. So uniformity is the way to see that okay, this child is in the same khaki. This child has the same hair length. They have the same black shoes. They have the same black belt. Wherever the school's various dress codes may be. And so if we are advocating for equality and as citizens we cannot we're saying that oh nothing is wrong with sending the child to school in a tight pant, nothing is wrong with the hair, then we have no right, no basis to advocate for equality because that is a standard of up here and here and we seek to end that. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. All right. So we've gone 1 hour and 2 minutes. Wanted this live to be 1 hour. So we've gone 2 minutes over. Do you guys have any final thoughts, any final words? If not, I'll just wrap up. No?
Yes, I
Okay.
would like to I'd like to extend deepest sympathies with the deceased student from Kingston Technical. I believe her name is Michian Campbell. I'd like to extend my deepest condolences and within this time of grieving that I hope they find comfort to accept because we cannot be having ourselves over a loss. We must progress, but it's a hard time for the family, and so I think as a nation we should come together and express a sense of compassion and comfort the family in the ways best as possible.
Great. Thank you, Tyrone. All right, guys. So thanks for tuning in.
Uncle, are you hearing me?
Sure, go ahead, Rashid.
All right, real quick, I totally forgot. Thanks to my wonderful team at the Youth Republic for sending me a reminder. On behalf of the Youth Republic, there are two main incidents that we'd like to send condolences to the family. The incident that took place right here in Elsha, we'd like to say our deepest regrets to the family, the mother, the sister of the young Wolmerian that was shot by his father by accident. May his soul rest in peace. And to the recent incident that happened at Kingston Technical, we'd like to see our deepest regrets. And the Youth Republic will be planning something, cannot say what it is as yet. But we'll be planning something. I think it's a visit somewhere, not sure. But again, our deepest condolences. And guys, be a part of change. You're not too old and you're not too young. We'll find a space for you on the Youth Republic team or board. Yeah,
All
you can
right.
reach
So
out to UIC via their Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, website. You can reach out to any of us, or contacts will be posted. Mr. Harper, Mr. Patterson, you can reach out to them, and they will more than happily add you to a group that you can, get to speak with us. So yes, I think this is where I end for now. Again, it's a pleasure being the chairman for VYC's user.
all right. So thank you both for coming on this evening. Um, for those of you that are watching the live, it's actually Rashid that, we have our little WhatsApp group, and Rashid, said, hey, why don't we do this on the show tonight? So thank you, Rashid, for taking initiative. Thank you for Tyrone. Thank you, Tyrone, for coming and sharing your thoughts with us. Both of you are very, very, you have a bright future ahead of you, both of you. I'm really impressed with how the both of you handle yourselves and share or talk about, your issues and talk about what's happening in schools and just your viewpoint, how you see things. I'm very impressed with you both, and I am happy that you guys are members of the Youth Republic Youth Arm for the UIC. And people that are on the live, thank you guys for coming on. It is a very short live. We wanted to keep it short. We're trying to keep our live shorter. I can close you guys out so you can relax now. Right, so thank you guys for coming on the live. We really appreciate you coming on and sharing. We didn't really get to read too much of the comments, but that's how it is sometimes. The topic of the day is very engaging, and so sometimes we don't even, we're rambling on and we don't even get to read the comments. But I'm hoping that there was a healthy discussion in the comments. I'm sure there was. And as Rashid said, if you're a young person watching this now and you would like to be part of the Youth Republic group, just send a message on our Facebook page, our Instagram page. Also have Twitter. All of them are UIC Jamaica. Or you can reach out to our phone numbers. Let me put it up here. Right, so you can reach out to our phone numbers on the screen and just say that you would like to be part of the Youth Republic or the UIC's youth arm, and we'll get you in contact with Rashid and the other members, and of course myself, so you can be part of the team. So thank you all for coming on, and I hope you all have an amazing night, an amazing weekend, and see you tomorrow. All right, so take care.